Okay, fifth graders, today is November 4th. Happy November. It's our first day of school. That is November, right? And today we're doing Module 2, Lesson 16, okay? We just had our mid-module on Thursday of last week, and so today we're starting the second half. And at the end of the second half, we'll have a test that covers everything in Module 2. But don't worry, that's not for a while. Okay, today our learning goal says I can use what I know about place value to divide by multiples of 10. So today we're going to go back, we're going to draw from what we learned all the way back in the very beginning of Module 1. Do you remember when the digits shifted to the left or shifted to the right? Yeah. Okay, that's what we're going to be using today. Today we will need place value charts because we're using what we know about place value to help us with this task. Okay, so go ahead and copy down this problem and then draw yourself a place value chart. Remember, if I have my decimal point here, that takes away the need to label ones, tens, hundreds, right? Because I already have it. Good. Okay, the problem we're trying to do is 420 divided by 10, right? So that could be 4 hundreds and 2 tens. Do you guys agree? Yeah? Okay. Now, if I wanted to, let's just think about this for a second. Here's 2 tens. You don't need to draw this. I just want to show you. And here's 4 hundreds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Do you guys agree that's 4 hundreds and 2 tens? Yeah. Okay, if I wanted to take this 10 and I wanted to share it or divide it by 10 people, what portion of this 10 would each person get? 1, right? If I divide that 10 by 10, each person would get 1. What about this 10? When I divide this 10 by 10, how much would each person get? 1. So if I took those 2 tens and I shared it equally among 10 people, or I divided it by 10, how much would each person get? 2, because there's 2 ones. Good. Now what about this hundreds? If I shared that 100 with 10 people, how much would each person get? 10. Okay. Okay. What about this 100? 10. What about this 100? 10. Okay. And this one? 10. So if I took the whole thing, 420, and shared it by 10 people, they would get 10, 20, 30, 40, 1, 2, 42. You guys see that? Now this is similar to what we learned about in the beginning of the year when we shifted. When I divide, do I shift to the left or shift to the right?
To the right.
Okay. How many factors of 10 do I have?
1.
So I'm going to shift this to the right. I'm going to shift this to the right to get 1, 2, 3, 4 tens and 2 ones. Do you see how that's the same thing as when I use those discs up there to show you? So what is 420 divided by 10?
42.
42. Okay, I'm still using my highlighter tool. Cool. Okay, this time I have 1,600 divided by 10.
Huh?
I mean divided by 100, sorry. Okay, divided by 100. So, what do we know about that? Well, we know that when we divide, we shift to the right. And how many factors of 10 do we have here? Yeah, because we know that 100 is the same as 10 times 10, right? Which means if I'm dividing by 100, it's the same thing as dividing by dividing by 10, and then divided by 10 again. Do you guys agree? Yes? Okay, so if my question is 16 hundreds, or 1,600, I could write it in the place value chart like this. 0 ones, 0 tens, 6 hundreds, 1,000. Okay, when I divide by 10 one time, it shifts to the right one time. Yes? When I divide by 10 a second time, it shifts to the right a second time. So what's my answer? 16. Here's how you can show it if you can't slide numbers like I can, right? You can just write 1,600, and then we shift it one time, and then we shift it another time. We shift this one time, we shift it another time. We shift this one time, we shift it another time. We shift it one time, we shift it another time. And so my final answer is 16. 1,600 divided by 100 is?
16.
Okay. Remember how I often tell you tips and tricks that people teach you that work, but if you can't explain why it works, you don't get to do it? This is one of those times. A lot of times people say, oh, when you divide, you just cross out 2 zeros here and you cross out 2 zeros here. Have you guys heard that tip before? Do we just willy-nilly cross out zeros where we feel like it? No, you can't just go out into the world and cross out zeros. you have to have a reason for crossing out those zeros. So knowing what we know now about place value and how positions slide, why is there people in the world who say you just cross out 2 zeros here and cross out 2 zeros here? For this question, we can think to ourselves, our whole is 24,000, right? And our divisor is 600. So if I were to write this out using standard algorithm, who's living in the house? 24,000. Who's knocking on the door? Okay, but we're not doing standard algorithm. Now I can think to myself, is this the same thing as 24,000 divided by 100 and then divided by 6? Yeah, because this part right here is the same thing as dividing by 600. Yeah? Okay. But I'm going to separate out the factors of 10 first because that allows me to work with smaller numbers. Okay, so if I have 24,000 and I put that in a place value chart, I'm going to put it in a miniature place value chart right here. Right? Okay. When I divide by 100, how does that affect the digits? They need to shift to the right. How many times?
2.
Okay, so this 0 would go here. This 0 would go here. This 0 would go here. 4. Right? Do you see how they all shifted two place values over? So if I move my decimal point down here, what is 24,000 divided by 100 then? 240. If I apply that trick that some people like to say, cross out these 2 zeros and 100 and cross out these 2 zeros, does it work out? So why do some people say we can cross out those 2 zeros? Turn and tell someone next to you.